How loving yourself will strengthen your relationship. Let's go.
Welcome to the Loveable as Fuck show with Sherry Yazzie. I am a plus-size Indigenous woman in a world that tells me not to love myself. I fucking do. Here's how I do it.
For more on how to defuck yourself, love yourself, and my emotional resiliency magnifying, life-transforming mindset hacks and self-care tools that you need to know now in order to transform your life and be happy as fuck, go to beloveableaf.com. That's beloveableaf.com.
So today we're talking all about how loving yourself will strengthen your relationship. This for me has been an absolute truth. My relationship has been very important to me. I've actually been with my husband since I was 19 years old. So that's a long time. And I'm really committed to that relationship. But I can tell you that it used to not be a healthy relationship. We definitely had some really, really unhealthy patterns that were hurtful and harmful to both of us. And we had tried a lot of things to make a difference. We'd read books. We'd gone to a marriage retreat. We had gone to group therapies, different, separate group therapies. We had done therapy together. Did I say marriage counseling? We did marriage counseling together. We did, we went to live events. Like we did transformation work. We did all kinds of things. And absolutely, there were bits and pieces from each one of those things that we took with us and we kept with us and helped us along the way. But it never, ever really changed. Our actual underlying pattern, the unhealthy patterns that we were in, didn't actually change until, for me, I started loving myself. I started loving the fuck out of myself. True story. Like when I started loving the fuck out of myself, it created an entirely different thing possible in our relationship because one, I was allowing all of that love in that he was sending to me. Because I was kind of setting him up for lose-lose situations. If you can relate to that, you know who you are, right? Like where in a relationship, there's no winning. It's a lose-lose. And I was doing that a lot. I'll own it. And once I started to love myself, I no longer created those lose-lose situations. There were no more tests to see if he loved me because I loved myself. So when I loved myself, and I loved myself so clearly, so securely, that his love is like a bonus, like a yummy, wonderful bonus. It actually inspired him to start showing up. And it did it naturally without me pushing and nagging and all the time. Do I still make requests? Absolutely. I believe communication is important in a relationship, but I no longer take it on as my responsibility to do the whole relationship. I am no longer pushing and nagging and trying. And I will be real with you. This is a process, right? Like loving myself shifted things. Occasionally I will fall back into a little bit where I feel like I'm pushing and I'm like, whoa, what am I doing, right? This isn't what I do. And I back off because this is the thing that I will say is doing all this work. I wish I could tell you that it was like a magic pill and everything was just perfect from there on out. No, shit still happens. Things still happen. The difference is that I'm not miserable inside of it. I can still make requests. But it's a very different thing. I make the request and I walk away. Like I don't try to figure it out. I don't create this lose-lose because here's what I used to do. Okay. So I would make a request, like what I needed. And then I would sit and try to like work it out how he could give it to me and how it would work and all the ways that he could do it. And like by the end, if he even did any of the things, it never felt like he was really showing up for our relationship. It felt like he was just doing what I had told him to do, which never gave me that satisfaction of feeling like he was showing up in our relationship 100%. So now I make the request and I let it go. And he shows up or doesn't in the way that he shows up. And when he does show up, it feels amazing because I know that this is generated by him. He is actively showing up, choosing to text me something lovely or hold me when I'm scared, or like he is showing up and I am not like telling him how to do it so that it doesn't make a lose-lose. He shows up in the way that works for him. And it's created these really different experiences that I wasn't expecting, but that have been very affirming to me and have felt very good and very loving and I've felt very cared for. So to me, the thing is loving yourself changes your entire relationship. It changes all of the things in your life. It changes how you think, how you feel about your going into your closet, how you feel about other women, how you feel about your kids. Like, it just changes all of the things. So I'll give you an example. So the other day, because this is me being real, like, shit still happens. The other day I got really, really pissed off. And it was a little white cord, an Apple cord that goes into the phone, and it was stuck underneath my rolling desk, and it was in the wheel, and I couldn't get it out. So I'm pulling on it, and I kept thinking I could get it, and I'm pulling, and it won't come, and I knocked off some papers, and my son gets up to get the papers, and I thought I had it, and I jerked it because I was pissed, and the whole desk went over with my computer and fell on my son's foot. And I felt like such a jerk, like just awful. And this is what he said to me. He's like, why would you do that? Why were you being so intense? It wouldn't have happened if you weren't being so intense. And it was this really clear wake up call for me that I needed to be doing some different things in my life, like that I've let things slide too long. Okay. Now, you're like, why are you telling me this? You love yourself and this stuff still happens. Yes, shit still happens. But here's the very big difference is I apologized. I mean, and he was clear that it was an accident. And then I cleaned it up. I went and said, okay, listen, I looked at it and this is true. You're right. I was being intense and that I created that entire situation because I have not been doing a few of the things that I know work for me. Like singing, dancing, shaking my ass, jumping, making sure I'm outside every day in the sunlight. Things that just literally help me along through this because I'm a regular person, right? We're coming off of a really long, drawn out, isolated experience where you're barely hugging or touching people. Like regular things that I had in place, like getting my nails done or going out to lunch with friends. I'm like, all that's been gone, right? I mean, like, I haven't stepped foot in a restaurant, like to eat in a restaurant for over a year, right? I've gone to restaurants and eaten outside a few times. But I mean, like, you think about the sheer amount of shift, right? And how much more things have, well, and then there's things, like there's stress and there's things, like, I'm not pretending that none of these things are real. And so I know when it's extra, I need to take care of myself a little extra. And when it's not tied to my worth and that I don't deserve it and all that, then you know what I do? I just go, hey, you know what? I caught this. I wasn't doing these things that work for me. And I committed to my son, I'm going to do them. And guess what? I fucking did them. Today, I have sang, I have danced, I have shaken my ass, I have gone outside, I've done stretching, I've been in the sun. I haven't jumped yet, but it's on my list. Like, literally, I just put them in. If you're like me where you'll have an insight and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. Oh, that's right. I was going to do that. I'll do that. And maybe you put it in your phone, however you keep it in existence for yourself, right? But then you don't do it. Do you ever, you're like, why am I not doing this? I know it's the thing to do. I know this is the next step. I know this is good for me. Why won't I do it? Well, it's the beliefs. So that's the difference. I noticed what was happening. I got clear. I made a commitment and I'm doing it. And I feel so much better. I have no little white cords pissing me off today. Like, I feel so much better. And that is what changing your beliefs do, period. It's not that life doesn't still come, but it's that shifting, making a change, adding something that you want in your life becomes easy. You're not trying to do something you want and overcome years of deeply held, deep-seated beliefs that are literally sabotaging this thing that you consciously want. This place you're consciously going, it's sabotaging you continually, right? So it was easy for me to make that change. That right there is the crux of why I do the work that I do. It's because I want it to be easy for you. I want you to be able to live life, experience all the things, the ups, the downs. This isn't about pretending. This isn't about faking it. Stuff still happens, but you're set up for success because your underlying beliefs are working for you, not against you, right? And that right there, when you start loving yourself, it sets you up for your relationship to work better. Now, you can't control the other person. I can't control my husband, but I can tell you what's happened. I'm not scared he's going to leave me. I don't obsess about my body. I'm not scared that he's not interested in my body. Literally, I'm a plus size woman, but I am clear on how sexy I am. And guess what is reflected to me from him is that I'm sexy. Does that make sense? For so long, I was waiting for somebody else to tell me in the exact right way that I was beautiful or that I was good enough or that I was lovable, and so much so that I would believe them. But the problem is I never would, because it's not something someone can tell me. And if you're wondering about that, you can think about somebody who's an actor or an actress or somebody who's a musician who literally, we are talking hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people love this person, think they're amazing, talented, wonderful. They're getting awards, they're getting recognition all over the place, and they're not feeling it. They still don't feel good. They're still struggling with depression. They are still struggling, some of them, to not kill themselves. Being real here. This isn't something that is an outside thing. It never is. Now, when people give me compliments and say wonderful things to me, I can accept them and I just feel them. I swim around in them and I'm like, oh, this is so good. Thank you. But before, I was not, right? No matter what you said to me or how you said it to me, I couldn't accept it. I couldn't accept that love. And that's a shitty experience on the other side, right? And I'm not trying to guilt you here, right? Because if you don't love yourself and you're not worthy of love, now you're going to feel guilty that you're not letting people love you. And oh my God, this isn't about that, right? This is about, what do you want? How do you want it to go? Because there's no guarantee that at the end of your life, you're going to have figured this out. Somebody I love and adore, who I think is amazing, and I tell on a very regular basis, argues with me. Every nice thing I've ever said to this person, they've argued with me about. They've never taken on a nice thing I've ever said to them. I don't think they even really take on my love. And that's painful to me. And it's sad to me. This whole beautiful life that this person has lived, and they're, in their upper ages, and they're not feeling the, I don't know if you've ever done this, but I have, where I thought, okay, well, at a certain point, right, at a certain age, of course, I'm going to love myself and I'm going to be accepting of my body. And I'm, of course, because I will have lived this whole big long life. But that's not guaranteed. I can promise you from watching this person, who most people, and I'm not kidding, if you took a survey of everybody who knew them, would be like, they're great, they're amazing. They don't see it. It's not something that they get. It's not something that they think about. It's not something that's true for them on any level. So if I'm talking to you and you know who you are, today's the day. Let's start loving yourself. And if you're wanting help on that, I'm going actually over my entire Loveable as fuck framework on in a training, right? So whether you're seeing this later or now or whatever, you can go check out the training. It's going to be live, if you're listening now, but if you're listening later, I'm sure we can figure out a replay for you. But so you can go down into the description and find it. But it's the stop selling yourself out in your relationships, get the love you want. This is literally the Loveable as fuck framework. How I went from hating myself to loving myself. How I went from hating my body to loving my body. And I'm not bullshitting you here. This is the real thing. I have people come to me sometimes and they're like, do you really love yourself all the time? And I'm like, yes. Now, let me talk to you about loving myself. Loving myself doesn't mean I got a zit under my chin the other day and my son was nice enough to point it out. It doesn't mean I was like, I love you, zit. You're so pretty. No, I wasn't happy with the zit. I didn't think it looked good, but I still loved me, right? Does that make sense? It's like maybe you love a shirt, you get a stain on it, you don't love the stain, you're going to clean off the stain, but you love the shirt, right? So I'm not saying that I'm always like, oh my God, I look perfect and amazing, because sometimes I look crazy or my hair is crazy or whatever it is, right? You get the eye gook in your eyes in the morning or you have morning breath. I'm not claiming that I'm like everything is roses and rainbows that is around me all the time. That's bullshit, right? But I love me, right? Just like I love the shirt. Whether it gets a stain on it or a tear in it, I still love the shirt. And I love me in the same way, okay? So if it's possible for me, it's possible for you. And I'm inviting you, if you're seeing this, absolutely get on. Go to the link down in the description because this event is going to be fucking fire. I guarantee it. I wrote out some amazing emails for it. Like, I want you guys to get the emails. Like, seriously, I'm telling stories. Like, this shit was inspired. All right. So you're invited to that because this is the work for me. Whenever I've wanted to be more successful, when I've wanted my relationships to work, the work was loving myself. And I know you've probably heard this before, but if you've ever wondered, like, okay, fucking how do I do that? Come. I'm literally laying out the whole framework, right? This is not one where you're going to be like, man, she just left out like this last step. No, I'm going to go over the entire overview of the framework. I'm not fucking around here. It's literally the steps I took, okay? And of course, I'm going to invite you to come work with me too around the framework, you know, but you'll know if it's for you. If it's not for you, I'm totally cool with that too, right? So, you are lovable as fuck, just the way you are, and I hope to see you there.
To send me your questions or stories, email me at loveableafshow@gmail.com. If you love the show, please comment, like, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you're listening on the podcast, please leave a review and subscribe to help me get this show in front of more women who need to know that they are lovable as fuck just as they are. Check out the show notes or go to belovableaf.com. That's belovableaf.com for more of how to unfuck yourself, love yourself, and be happy no matter your size. I said it before and I will say it again. You are lovable as fuck just as you are.